We have to decide right now if Wilson is the new Adam Frazier or Adam Frazier is going to continue to be Adam Frazier, because he did just sign with the
Yeah.
Orioles, I believe. Maybe we'll
I-
talk about that next
I think
episode.
next episode we talk about the
Yeah.
Adam Frazier signing.
Okay. All right, we'll start with Wilson Contreras. 5 years, 87 and a half, goes to the Cardinals, saying all the right things. I love this move. I think the Cardinals have made like some of the smarter moves in baseball over the last couple of years. It's kind of shown up for them. Arenado, thank you, Rockies, for paying for us to have him. That's one of the all-time heists in baseball. We talked about this at the trade deadline. Would the Cubs do it? Would the Cubs send him over to the Cardinals? It didn't end up happening. But now they kind of get their guy. And like I said, at the press conferences, he's been saying, look, Cardinals fans know me from the Cubs. They might have hated me there. But when I'm on your team, you're going to love me. I play with passion and drive and all this stuff. And he's showing respect to Yachty. And he's saying all the right things. Now, I think the biggest thing for him to do, we know he's going to show up offensively. We'll see how much he actually ends up catching. I think that's important to figure out. Is he going to be 130 games behind the plate type of guy? Like, I don't think he is going to be that. Probably some more DH stuff like that. But it's going to be important for him to learn that staff and to be able to call a good game, because those dudes in the Cardinals rotation are so used to that. Having, maybe the best catcher of all time defensively. I don't know. People are probably going to be mad if I say that. I'm not even sure about the numbers on that, but one of, okay, people.
Yeah.
That's something that pitchers really love. Consistency behind the plate, knowing, the game plan and how he sets up and all that. That's going to be different. I think it's going to be okay. Obviously, you have spring training to work through it, and Waino back helping kind of the transition, I think, is really cool. And I wonder if Yachty kind of has some sort of role in this transition. To me, it makes sense that he would. And that's saying a lot about the Cardinals and the relationship that Yadier Molina has with the city.
Well, the two things you mentioned there, St. Louis being one of the best baseball cities and well-run organizations, times Yachty, who, is a legend in his own right. Yeah, you wonder if we start a little catching tradition here in St. Louis. I'm fascinated to see the next step, because, Wilson Contreras is going to hit. That's kind of all he's done. He's had a positive OPS plus every year except one. And that was 2018. He was still an all-star that year. Career 808 OPS. I guess the thing that I don't know, because, a reminder, the Talkin Baseball New Year reminder, your team better than us. I've seen Wilson Contreras catch, but I haven't watched Wilson Contreras catch, over a 4-game set. So going from Yachty, who's, one of the kingpins of baseball catching, if there was a book that came out, how to catch at the MLB level, Yachty or Molina would be featured on one of the first few chapters. Now, Wilson Contreras, a guy that the Cubs, it seemed like for years were almost trying to get off catcher. Remember, they signed Yan Gomes, and, he's playing left field and he's moved around a little bit. The kid can hit. And it seems like they're locking him in to be their catcher, which, hey, in 2021, he caught 116 games at catcher, which that's a big boy number at catcher at the MLB level. So just interested to see St. Louis's reaction to Wilson Contreras as the catcher, because, for 5 years, again, father time kicks in more. I know it didn't with Yachty, basically, but I want to see how Cardinals fans react to his defense. And maybe I wonder if there is a Yachty pride thing with Wilson, that he's if I'm going to be catching in St. Louis, I better raise my game to the next level, which, again, with all that Cubs talk we just had, if Wilson Contreras becomes a little nastier defensively going to the Cardinals, that would grind your gears a little bit, huh?
I think if you're the Cardinals, you kind of look at it like this. Sure, you want premium defense at every position, but you have to find a balance between, offensive production and defense. The guys that can do both, we know what those guys go for. We all know them. They're the superstars in the game. It's very hard to be elite at both. There's very few players that can do that. But when you're looking at catchers and OPS and offensive production, his numbers are way at the top.
Right.
So maybe you're like, if we can have that big of an advantage offensively from this production, we can take a little bit of hit on the defensive side. They're going to have the time, like I said, in spring training where he's going to have to really learn the pitching staff. And what's funny is when you see new catchers come in, I've seen this a couple different times now in spring training. Usually, like the veterans, guys that are getting deals like this, they don't fucking catch bullpens. They don't. They play the game and they do this, they do that. This dude is going to have to be out there bright and early, catching those bullpens, making sure he's in all the pitchers and catchers meetings, learning and every single day. So this spring training, it's going to be a lot different for Contreras, but I think he's going to welcome the opportunity. And once you get into that organization, I feel like it's pretty easy for guys to buy in. And I know people may not like to hear like Cardinals way or whatever. They're a well-run organization. They have the veterans there that kind of like make you respect the jersey. And when you're around those guys that put in the work, like they do, like we know all those guys in the Cardinals do, it just influences you. So whether he was planning on doing this already or not, he's going to get into that clubhouse and he's going to work because that's what they do in that organization.
Yeah, and it feels like one of those things that, if you painting isn't the right comparison, but it's what is in my head right now. Like, hey, Wilson Contreras, if you go out and you go to spring training and you paint that house 20 times this spring training, you won't have to paint it again. Like if you put in that time now, then people won't call you out. And there's just easy articles that like, Wilson, there's only one veteran player at the field at 7 a.m. today. It's Wilson Contreras. And he's working with, so I expect those out of St. Louis spring training. And sorry about the painting thing.
I don't know what that was about.
That
but
just
I will,
got weird.
I want to tell you this. I'm going to give up a secret of mine. Okay.
Okay.
I'm Coach Trev. I coach a little bit here and there. Mostly I am. Guys can come to me if they need some advice. But one thing I always tell guys, especially in spring training or if like you have some question marks about your defense, I say, you know what? Go do your work and do it in front of people. People always say, oh, it's all about the work behind the scenes. Bullshit. Sometimes you need to go work and let everyone see you so everyone can start talking about it. Just like you're saying, oh shit, Contreras was out there before anyone, working on his framing, working on his on blocking drills. Yachty's out there with them. Holy shit, like this guy's into it. And then you start to believe it too because it's out there in the press and people are asking, oh, you're working so hard. You're like, fuck yeah, I am. And it snowballs from there. So that old adage of do the work behind the scenes, sure, you have to do some work behind the scenes, but also do it in front of everybody because it holds you accountable too.
Yeah,
I'm serious about that. I've given that advice out a lot. Hey, you want to bust the rumors or the talk that you're not working hard defensively? Go fucking work hard defensively in front of everybody.
Right. It's one of those chicken or the egg thing. Like, if you're out there fielding grounders before the game and the media happens to see that, guess what? Now I know. If you have a third baseman who has a bad day at the office and then you don't hear or see that, you assume you're like, I don't know, show guy and taking care of himself, but also just as a fan or the media.
Yeah.
It's
he's
not
working out there. It's okay. He's working out there. He's putting in the work.
You don't have to be Scott Boras at winter meetings. Like you don't have to take grounders in the parking lot in front of everyone, but showing people you're doing the work is also doing the work. So I've got no qualms with that.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I need to start like a consulting firm. I got all these little tricks that, kept me in the big leagues long enough. I figured some things out.
Your guy, Scotty B. And by the way, just going roster resource and clicking between the Cubs and the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals are
it's a different animal.
Yes. I mean, they have, if you take Goldie and Arenado off the Cardinals, then you kind of have the Cubs. But so those are two MVP guys. Let's see if the Cubs have any other moves in them. Good for the Cardinals, a little catching tradition there.